least more consistent hyper armor. That's fine. That's cool. He also says the change of the pikes is a step in the right direction, but I think any attack should be able to be roll canceled at any time. That's stupid.
Yeah,
That
no,
ruins the entire
no.
point of landing your shot and being punished. That would ruin any of that. It was as it
Yeah,
stands, Pike gives you little choice but to accept trade until you can roll out of the attack, which is a long time for such a slow attack. Dude, he obviously never practiced spear at all like I had to. He doesn't understand that that's part of the whole skill gap with the spear.
yeah. And there's people stuck in the olden times, they just want to roll and hit. And
I mean, I like the old days too, but okay. The
it was
changes to the
fun.
two-handed axes are pretty good. Tough, kind of slow on the heavy, similar to the hammer. I difficultly see someone being able to land them against a player that is good at iframing and dodging. That's not true. I'm pretty sure I can land it, especially with a hot swap. And then he goes on and he says, "Now for the bad." Oh, here we go. The claws are way too slow. I difficulty see anything being landed or landable unless you accept trades, but other weapons will be able to abuse the fact claws are now super stationary and slow with fast roll cancel. I'm not
Yeah, they
sure I
need to
currently see
be.
the claws even being usable anymore. That's bullshit because the claws' new hyper
Yeah,
armor you could literally trade out with daggers. That's their whole point. Punch daggers are meant to
yeah.
counter the daggers. He goes, the katana is horrific. The animations have been taken from the animation looking like almost a proper way to use a katana with an almost proper stance when idle, to the katana looking like it's wielded by a monkey trying to imitate someone wielding a katana. The katana is now way, way too slow and awkward. I'm
No, the
seeing a
katana's
trend
gained a
of.
lot more,
I think the
roughly
katana could use
speaking.
some work, but it's not. It's not something that's that bad to where it's horrendous and just you start shitting on the
No,
weapon.
it's not, and it's pretty much kept the lounge move, and it's gained a lot more moves.
Oh, I like it.
And
I think now that it has a heavy attack instead of a charge, that you can implement different combos. I
yeah,
like
that's
the
right.
fact that they're trying to make light attacks more chainable. They're trying to make it to where you can just keep light attacking, and then a heavy attack has the four attacks. That is probably how it should have
Yeah,
been for a long time. But he
yeah.
goes, the katana is way too slow and awkward. I'm seeing a trend of trying to slow down all the weapons here. Conan combat always has been fast and adaptable. Sneaking hits after a well-placed iframe or turning in at first glance slow weapon into a very fast one with a roll cancel. All of this is going to disappear to leave a place to a slow and boring combat. That and the fact that one-handed swords are going to crush everything because it's so much faster and mobile. None of the new weapon movesets are going to be able to land any hits on players. This was already a problem with the hammer, which is so slow that it's hard to hit someone who is any good at dodging at all. Now it's the same thing for katana and especially claws. Please, the combat is fine as it is. Don't slow it down. Okay, the combat being slowed I don't like. I want the hammers to be quickened. I could see him saying that, but the claws needed fixed badly. That was like the
I think
worst.
the cause needed a nerve so hard, and a long time ago too.
They needed that
It's
back when
about
fast
time
roll
they've
was a
done
thing.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
He says it's boring combat, but what they don't understand is that this combat system that's in Conan is supposed to be reflected in Dark Souls. They even said that and hinted at that in their Twitch stream. And Dark Souls is played many different ways. It's fast paced, slow paced, and it has every pace that you could think of. They have hyper armor builds, agility builds. They're trying to go for that kind of thing with Conan, and it's fine and all, but I don't know. I like the pikes. I like how they're making the pikes stamina usage go down because the
Just
pike
stamina, yeah.
stamina was kind of retarded on how much. Like you used to be able to rock one grit back in the day and be fine, but now you rock one grit with a spear, you're out of stamina after like a full combo.
The two-handed axe needed to be changed as well. The heavy attack where they're just spinning
Oh,
around.
that was so bad,
That
dude.
was crap,
I
man.
tell you what, if they would have made the Scythe of Thag have the new animations, I'd be all over it. I'd be trying to learn how to use it. The claws are way too
Yeah.
slow. I difficult to see anybody being able to. This guy's a god. This Fido guy, I have seen him messing and testing everything in this whole game. He is a lifesaver.
Yeah, if you spend some time on Test Live and actually go to the ones that have people running it and talk to those, some of those people just 24/7 working out problems, man. Fuck
Yeah, I
God.
wish I was able to do that. I have Test Live. I just can never join a server, and nobody wants to help me do my fucking my stuff, my tests on it. Because I want to test like the cripple chances, how much stacks of a cripple does. Because back in the day, cripple was
Yeah.
broken. Things I would like to see change: not being able to see enemy player bars through wall or end at all. No, see, I don't. I disagree. The reason why they implemented the bars, and people don't understand this, is for undermeshers. You can walk up to a fucking wall and look through it, and you'll see a health bar. And if it's in the mesh, they're undermeshing, and it's easier to get a name and recording when you have their name and their health bar pop up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
that
what
is
that is
right.
for.
And they're working a lot on the undermesh, and the new update with Test Live comes it had the undermesh as well. Like Exile Lands had it for a while. If you go undermesh, I think it's a minute, or you can set it in the settings, and it will kill you instantly. So it's a lot better than it has been. It's not 100%, no, but they're definitely working on the undermesh, which is
Yeah.
good. Like this, it's always good to do that.
And then here's
Yeah,
another thing. He goes, not being able to sprint attack while crippled. That's the whole point of you being crippled. One of them is that you can't
yeah,
sprint, and if
that
you
doesn't
can't
make
sprint,
sense.
yeah, that's not true. Each weapon should have a percent chance to bleed. I hate this idea, and I'm gonna tell you why I hate this idea. If we can go back and we can look at the various Conan different metas, we had a hammer and an axe, the axe of violence and the hammer of doom that had a chance to crit. When you add chance
Yeah,
to weapons, you remove skill to them because you're just trying to proc that chance. That
yeah,
removes any part of
totally
it.
agree.
But then he does say 100% chance to bleed from weapons removed, including daggers. I think that the bleed from daggers on light attack and the Sunder and all them weird new ones, that needs removed. The whole point of the light attack is supposed to get
Yeah.
inside of somebody and then swap to the heavy attack.
And I think they're going to see that more now that the potions aren't taking away the
Yeah,
bleed,
bleed
that you
meta's
have to
coming.
actually use. Yeah, they're coming. They're definitely, and they're going to shine after this update pops through as well because those bandages, they just take way too long.
You
Way too
stand
long.
still.
Yeah.
Well,
That's,
if they made the old bandage system, if they brought it back, where like back when you used to get crippled when you took them, but it had no animation, that would be a fair trade-off. I would take that
yeah.
instead of this
They're
whole
going too
bandage
far one
thing.
way. Unless I'm like cure all, stops bleed, or something like that, you have to
They need
actually
to bring
work
back the
for
when
and
set
get a
pots used to
stack.
cure bleed and poison.
Yeah.
That
If they
needs to
do
come
something
back.
like that, yeah. But yeah, it's going to be the new meta. Bleed is definitely going to be the new meta.
Okay, here we
And
go.
all
Here we
those
go.
new weapons that are coming out too, they all do bleed. And like really, if you're bleeding, you got a 10 stack on you, you got to finish the fight. You have to go all in. Like that's where it's at the moment.
Yeah.
It's full on.
Okay, what's this to say? Religious system needs complete overhaul. Agree. It would be great if the religions were a more integral part of the game. They are already a great part of it now, but if our choices had more weight and gravity, it would make them all the more amazing. It's kind of a shame that so many items made and try and go unused. That is something I can agree with to an extent. They should add
Yeah,
something to the religious armor. Like it should give you like when you wear a set of it a +1 in each category or your attributes or something to make them different. But I also had a form where I was talking about the legendary armor being completely useless, like Verminhide boots, pants, and the War Dancer chest piece and God Eye. Back then it used to be
yeah,
meta, but why wear it now when you can get the same exact attributes from the Silent Legion? They give the same attributes and they're not legendary, so it doesn't make any sense.
exactly. Yeah. So it should be one should be buffed or one should be taken out a little bit. Just because, yeah, the Godway setup, I used to love that setup and I still run it, but it's just, there's no point. It's just saying, there's no point looking for it because you can get it
I mean, I get
with
the
the
idea
Dragon
that
Bone.
people want to be able to craft their armor. I think they should leave Silent Legion where it is because it's a really good spot, but they need to buff the legendary armor to at least give an extra point in attributes, even if it doesn't give the armor.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So let's
Not
continue
much. They
down
don't
here.
need
Let's
to do
talk right here. We
much,
stopped at.
Right.
Then
just a little
foundation
bit.
mechanics will change again. I refuse to believe devs didn't think about all the I refuse to believe devs didn't think about all possible abuses. They know what they're doing with those changes, and in my opinion, it simply makes PvP just unfun. Why even use anything except a bleed on hit weapon, right? Like that's something I was saying. You don't need to
Yeah,
trade with other players to win. You simply stack up bleed via cheap attacks, and if they want to bleed, they will be locked without, or they want to remove bleed. I'm pretty sure you meant to put remove bleed. They will be locked without the ability to move it all in 2.5-second animation, aka basically a death in any PvP fight, be it 1v1,
yeah,
1 versus group. He's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. And it's fucked up because I remember back in the day, I was at a point where I was 1v10ing, and I had videos where I was literally 1v5ing like that. But those days of Conan where skill mattered has disappeared to the point that it's vague now. Like, it's all about positioning and stuff like that. And it's not a bad thing because everyone's going to adapt and it's going to come back in a way. But until they fix this bleed thing, all people's going to rock daggers that give bleed on hit, and they're gonna iframe your shot, hit you, iframe your next shot, hit you again, iframe your next shot, and it's gonna keep doing it because it has the
Definitely.
fastest attack animation in the game, and it gives you the ability to stack a bleed on hit that's kind of broken.
Yeah,
A-
definitely.
And then we continue. He says, someone will say, hey, but there's bleed cleansing sigil. It totally gives us a reason to farm PvE content for a simple edge in PvP. So what about Jabal Sag Prowl and for those other daggers? I can't remember, they could bleed on hit too, but they're craftable and they're in exiled lands. What am I supposed to do then?
Yeah, well, that's it. They
You're
need
just
to change
fucked.
it to like, every third attack gives you bleed or something like that. It needs to be a lot more difficult to stack bleed
It
on
needs to
someone
be how the
after
daggers
these
used to be
changes.
balanced. The daggers used to be balanced that you
Yeah,
could use the light attack, get in on somebody, and then you hit with the heavy attack, and you could stack 2 times bleed per attack. And it attacked so
yeah.
quickly that it was able to stack it pretty fast. So it was pretty balanced back then. Nobody used it because they just didn't discover it. Just like nobody used bows back in the old poke and roll days with the spear because nobody discovered it yet. Nobody
Also,
discovered any of this
with the
stuff yet.
blade back then, you had bandages, like yeah, and you didn't had no animation as well. So back then,
Yeah.
it was like, well, they're going to stack bleed on me. I'm just going to take it off. So the person fighting is just
And
like,
set
well,
pots used to remove bleed, so it was no point. Like, you'd be able to just pop a
yeah,
set pot and you
exactly,
was alright. And honestly, it needs to come back because daggers are in a point where there's like, again, yeah, they made punch daggers that could possibly be. They made it for the counter of daggers, but like, it's still not going to stop somebody from poking you and getting you a bleed and then poking you and getting you. And it's 2 times, so they'll
yeah.
literally.
I mean, but how is bleed any worse than using like a corrupted weapon, where
Because
that
a corrupted
literally
weapon. Because
corrupted weapons will permanently lower your fucking health
Because
until
corrupted
you get.
weapons don't do it at the exact they don't tick you down further than just 1 point of corruption per hit. Like the Mordlin, you hit somebody, you get 1 point of corruption per hit. Yeah, you're right in a sense, but you also gotta keep in mind there's PvPers that brought what we call cleansing brew, and we also had Heart of a Hero. And I used to run Heart of a Hero in my inventory at all times. And what would happen is I would wait for you to tick me to where I got a quarter gone, eat the Heart of a Hero, and get my entire health bar back. So that had
Yeah.
counterplay. You don't have
And that's no
counterplay for bleed.
animation aiding that either. So
Yeah, like.
that's the biggest problem with bleed. You have to sit there with a bandage for like 3 seconds.
And by the
Yeah,
time you use it, they're just going to hit you and apply more.
it's like, yeah, somebody could bleed you, but if you hit them hard enough with something bigger that actually hits hard, you can hit them less times than they have to hit you to get those
So
bleeds,
you're
and
talking
then they
about
die.
I know you're talking about direct damage versus passive damage, and I created a thing about that back in the good old roll days, where I was always telling people I was a very big advocate that no matter what, if it's a trade of passive damage versus direct damage wins 9 times out of 10. But you also got
Yeah,
to keep in mind that's a full trade. So what happens is you whip out a Yogg's Touch and it has what, a maximum of 4 hits, right? We got to keep in mind that you get 6 dodges in light armor. Now, how many times are you going to swing your Yogg's Touch while I'm dodging, poking, dodging, poking, dodging, poking, before you realize you've just wasted your entire combo and now you got a full 8 to 10 stack of bleed on you? And now I'm literally just going
yeah.
to run gun you with set pots, or not pots, but set feast and herbal tea, and I'm going to stam you out. I'm going to literally wait for you to keep dodging to get away and pop a heal, and then I'm going to pop some more bleed on you. Like, you can't. There's no. The passive damage used to be that way when you used to be able to heal and pop that shit in the middle of trading, and you'd be able to actually trade with somebody because back then you only had 4 rolls. You could only roll 4 times in light. You could only roll. You could only do your back jump and heavy 4 times. Medium 4 rolls back then, but
I
six
think
rolls
that will
now.
what will solve all this in that paragraph you're reading now down a bit. It goes, we need a cleansing potion,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
specifically for blade. We need that. That would stop all this stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, like you
Like
need to make a. Okay, so gives reason
even
to
if it's the
simply
same
camp the
combination
entrance.
as just a normal potion, I think that's fine. You just get a little bit of a gap, get rid of your bleed, get back in there.
Removes bleed, but it's a heavy piece, and to actually use it to cleanse, you would need to make a script. Well, I wouldn't say you need to make a script. You'd have to be able to do what we call ring swapping. It's a Dark Souls term, and I used to carry a mask and do a jump, and then while in the middle of my jump of motion, be able to switch almost 2 to 3 armor pieces out and have a poison reapplied to my weapons. You don't need a script to do that. You can get that with skill, but a script would, for people with no skill, that's literally what they're going to go to is a script and micros.
Yeah.
Didn't know we need third-party software to actually do something in game. We need bleed cleanse. You don't really need that again. I just covered that. We need bleed cleanse on potion, or at least give a specific potion that cleanses bleed. Make bleed the strongest dot is a massive mistake. While you can entire weapons while I'm dyslexic, I guess, is a massive mistake. While you can no, it's not me. Okay, you have an entire
You can have your
weapons here
entire kit
with
as
bleed
bleed.
on hit. The best
Yeah,
part,
with
wonder
the new
what people on
weapons out,
EL
yes.
will serve. Yeah, Exiled Land servers will say when people from SIPTA will move in with bleed weapons on hit
Yeah.
on their map. Want a PvP? Buy SIPTA and farm on a dead server, then wipe any official. Seems like going this route. So he's not. This is another thing that you don't do right here. You don't. Just that doesn't need to be said. That could be implied, like how you've been implying it the entire time, but saying that's going to make them look at that comment and literally disregard all the other things you just said because they don't
Yeah.
care. They don't.
Doesn't,
It's not criticism at that point. You're just being
it
an
doesn't need
asshole.
to be said. I think you need to reword it differently. Pay to win is not what you want in the game.
Right. He says this update does make sense though. You remove good bleed removal from pots. SIP to have a good amount of bleed on hit weapons, but not really popular in community. So you simply buff bleed and enforce must buy SIP on community because server transfer will be a thing. See, that's another thing. When they was talking about server transfer, did I reply to this? I said, okay. So server transfer is a big problem with me, and that's because people have duped gods on other servers, and that's another. You're talking about server transfer. So when you're talking about server
There's
transfer,
going to be
if it's just the player,
jumping and wiping.
right? If it's just going to be the player, none of his inventory, but his attributes, his feats, and stuff like that, I'm all for it. But the minute you start saying, "Oh, he's gonna come over with his armor," "Oh, he's just coming over with his hotbar," "Oh, he's just coming over with a
He's-
backpack item," no,
Like
no,
the-
no, 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 no.
They said they're coming over with an inventory.
That's
basically, is what they're
bullshit.
saying.
That is bullshit.
but-
And
And see,
It is.
see something like that's easily controlled. If the fucking company, who from whoever Funcom wants to fucking do it, they need to take a look at Arc. You can't bring element from one server to another. Okay, without
Yes.
mods,
You
And
shouldn't.
then
You,
it's
yeah, you
like-
shouldn't be able to.
something like
First
that.
of all, you shouldn't even be.
can't-
still fire,
but
all
you
that
sh-
kind of stuff.
I don't think. I mean, you should have been bringing bombs or whatever. That doesn't matter. Bringing gods is the problem.
It's not. No, it's not just the gods. You also got to keep in fact about body vaulting is getting buffed, because you got to think about all the people with
Yeah.
alternate accounts. If you're gonna
All
allow me to
people
take
do
shit in my
is
inventory, hold on.
Grabbing all their shit.
If you're gonna allow
Yeah,
me
yeah,
to
yeah.
have an account, like a double account, a triple account, however many, everybody in my clan will have an extra account. And you let me be able to body vault, you know what I'm gonna do? The minute you start raiding me and I know I'm not gonna win, I'm gonna get on everybody's gonna get on their ult, they're gonna take everything and they're gonna server transfer with it. Then I'm gonna take the rest of the people in my clan that are actually in it, take everything in it, and gone. The whole base is there, yeah, you can destroy it, but there is nothing. You get no reward
Yeah.
for it, you get nothing. And then guess
Yeah,
what?
but how is that any different from people who popcorn their stuff?
It's very different because you still got your shit. You're going to a whole nother server to cause mayhem. Like, that's completely stupid.
Yes. So
You-
I'll go the other way. I'll be going as a 10-man clan, jumping servers with all their shit,
Yeah.
just body vaulting, coming out, blowing someone up, going to body vault, and just jumping from server to server, body vaulting and blowing people up.
And you're also
That's
not keeping in
definitely
mind that
not-
they'll literally just have a whole inventory full of building mats. They'll go to another server, blah, 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 blah. Now you gotta, instead of having the opportunity to stop somebody that you don't like or an enemy that you know from building up and doing that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, you're just gonna see him pop on, boom, tier 4 fucking shrine, tier archpriest, this, that. It's literally going to destroy the game. They
Yeah, but
allow
that's
that, it's
right.
going to destroy the game.
But things like thralls and shit should be left behind on server. Like that's enough.
They shouldn't have anything that
should
goes
be
with you.
applied.
You should not have anything go with you.
You know what? I don't. Like what I'm saying is like you shouldn't be able to bring certain things. I don't care if you bring weapons and tools and materials, right? But you shouldn't be able to bring
I do.
thralls and
You shouldn't be able to be
and
weapons.
fucking
You
yeah.
shouldn't be able to
God
bring any of
tokens.
that.
and rituals
There's
and rituals.
so many recipes in this game now with the 2 expansions. You should bring the recipes over, and that is it.
That is
your
what I
recipes,
agree.
your
I
level.
agree.
That's it. I don't think anything else should come over with you. That's my opinion.
That I agree with it because that if they make it to where you could bring your inventory over, there's going to be ways you can dupe. There's going to be ways that you could do all sorts of shit with that. They're going to literally implement a part of the game that's going to kill their game. This will be the one that kills their game. Known in the community for server wiping and jumping servers. They're going to take their most powerful server and they're going to wipe you. And then they're going, oh, you know what? I don't like this guy. I'm going to hop onto the next server he's on with all my shit again. And I'm going to wipe him again.
Totally.
And then I'm going to wipe and wipe and wipe.
Totally.
And nobody's going to play the game. Nobody is going to play the game because you don't have a chance. You don't have the, oh, I was here for a year on a server chance. You're removing that whole thing about the game. And then if you are beating them at one point, they're just going to leave. And they're going to come back later with even more shit from another server. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That is stupid. Bad design.
But that is
even coming over with all your recipes. I think that's OP, but it's not as much as coming over with an inventory.
Then what would be the if you can't take the stuff with you from going on and swapping servers, right? There would be no point in swapping servers.
No, there would be absolutely a point. You got to also keep in mind you have to level your character. Not everybody like me wants to keep leveling a character, hopping server to server. Like, I want to sit here and have my feats. You also got to keep in mind you get to keep your feats. So stuff that you learn from the other game, like Herbal Tea, Haunch, this, that, you don't have to relearn that. You save yourself time. That's the whole point. But you save yourself the right time.
Is the big thing. But also, if you're really big at PvP and you've taken over a server, there's no one left on it. So there's still
right, so you just have a level 60 on the server sitting there.
Yeah. So transferring servers and getting rid of all your shit, it's still a big thing. And people aren't going to do that. They're going to have one alt account, they're going to sit it in their base, and it's just going to be there with all their stuff, while their main character goes to a different server with nothing and starts mayhem over there. That's what's going to happen. But that's what should happen.
I think, and then you gotta also keep in mind that if they add it to cross server, like cross map, which is what people were talking about, like Sipta going to Exile Lands, if you are able to bring that weapon and all that shit over to Exile Lands, like, you're gonna have the most OP fucking kit, because there's nothing in the Exile Lands that is gonna stop the amount of broken armor and broken weapons that Sipta has in it right now that will stop it from being wiped. We're talking about claws that apply bleed on each hit. We're talking about swords.
Those recipes in Conan Exiles.
Yeah, like, you can't.
They need to do that.
And then they got sigils too. Like, no, dude, you don't add inventory swap. You don't add armor swap. You don't add none of that. Just feats, attributes, and you go. That is it. That's the whole thing. That I think that would be the best outcome. Because I've played
fucking hop from server to server and fuck with people.
Right. But we gotta also keep in mind the low amount of population on Conan, and that would kill Conan. That would ultimately lead to Conan being no longer a relevant game at all. Alright, so let's continue from this, because the whole server transfer thing, I'm pretty sure everyone knows if you're able to transfer loot, it's going to be broken. It sucks to say, but that's just how Conan is, especially if it's a multi-land or multi-map thing. I appreciate the attempt, but I could not make a lot of sense from the word salad. What? Who's this dude talking to? If you're making the claim that using armor pieces in a hotbar to clear bleed and stuff, that's a terrible band-aid for an even worse game design. That's true. There was people I knew how to armor swap, and that they hated doing that, but that was the way that you had to take bleed out last time. Because bleed used to be OP back in the day. Because the bandages didn't work. I get that combat should be a gamble and a risk to engage in, but this is just a bleeding meta. Stone Dagger's going to be the best item in the game for PvP. Laugh my ass off. If potions can't clear bleed, fine. Then bandages should. Make bandages heal, not much, and clear bleeds and be able to use on the move. Facts.
Yes.
As it stands now, this is awful for PvP, and I get it. This game isn't a PvP game anymore, but it still exists, and this is awful. I'm certainly not going to be playing with it with these changes going on. There is genuinely some good ideas, new animations, etc. So why did they add a spear why didn't they add a spear brace to counter horses, but we get new animation for the new katana? See, I agree to an extent. I don't think spear should get a brace. I think they need to add a lance weapon to the game that you could use on foot. But somebody made a good thing. And they said caltrop, something that was like an orb that you throw on the ground. It stays there for like 30 minutes, and if a horse runs over it dismounts him.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Something like that, yeah. Definitely.
That would be cool, but then you also got to keep in mind that you can one-shot with a lance, right? You can one-shot with the bow. Why would I run over
I
your
think
caltrops if I could just shoot you with a bow?
those barricades would be working a little bit more with that kind of stuff as well, like put a barricade
They
down before the
should,
horse
but
gets
the
near it.
barricade has land claim. And then if you add it to where it doesn't have land
Exactly,
claim,
yeah.
I can abuse it and I can get into somebody's base by building on their land claim. Not to
And you could
mention their
just
land
kill
claim
death
is broken as
rolls.
shit on here. Their land claim is one of the reasons why the server is so bad, because everybody has to do these grid formats to make sure nobody trebs their base and everything now. But the problem is, you should have had TCs like Rust. Something that you have to keep feeding in order for you to keep the land claim there, in order to keep people from
Yeah.
building on it. That would have made it to where there wouldn't be all these really long stretched foundations running across the map taking up land claim, because people don't want to sit here and deal with trebs at the front door. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
fine with that. But they made the trebs go a lot further, and that's a big part of that as well.
Okay. He goes, it's been
Yeah,
a
but
while.
I mean, you could alternatively have the issue that Ark has, and just have people that spam foundations like all over, everywhere,
Yeah,
and then you can't build anything anywhere. And there
That's
isn't
what it is
base time,
turning to.
but they just once it decays, they just fucking put a new one. Who cares?
Because you have to use the
People
fuel for it
are
to be active. You wouldn't be able to just put a new one and then you're able to go with it. You'd have to put Zeal or your clan, whatever, in it for it to eat and shit like that.
Yeah, the cupboards on Rust are always good because then even if you're trying to take over someone, you have to take over a couple of cupboards on their out exterior wall,
Yeah, and
and
just
then you
slowly
get
march
closer.
in.
It's a good battle. It's a good battle for the whole thing instead of
I think the
structured.
Rust. I do agree with the way the Rust thing works. Though I like the.
Well, I
way
mean, think
that
about it.
works,
In
because,
Conan, that'd work really well too, because you'd be able to conquer someone's base. Never before seen in
Yeah.
Conan, you could take over someone's little castle that they made. You know, like it'd be pretty dope to take over somebody's shit.
Bloody oath. Get into the center and just take their cabinet, kick them out, kick their beds out, take over. Yeah, bloody oath. That's one of the
Animal
best things
archers or
about
cripple
Rust.
thralls with throwing axes, the horse strength statted and such, and people running purely 50 strength plus armor and buffs, and using the drink that gives berserk rage for a moment. It can cause you to one-shot any player on foot, on a horse, with a spear if they're in light. And if you're not wearing light armor, a lance will one-shot anyone, and it is pretty easy to aim, and in a big fight situation, especially that knockdown and jump towards the horses have available. See, when I say that, many people don't understand for you, why should I spend 10 minutes rolling and poking and healing if I can one-shot you? I would do the same in real life, to be honest. If somebody wanted to have a sword fight and I had a bow, that would be the end of the problem for me. Just because you don't find it fun is not reason to keep nerfing it. Play the way you want and let the rest of the people play the way they want. But this is literally the dumbest argument I've seen out of this entire thread. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm
This
literally
is
going to tell
someone
you
who
why.
makes the bow.
No, it's not even that. Like, okay, so the bow's broken, right? But
Yeah.
the thread is about the one shot on the horse, not a bow. And if you're one shotting with a bow, you're broken. It's a gun. That's not even a bow. You're playing with a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, plenty of people have been one-shotted by bows in the past. That's why bows are superior.
Oh, I know. I made a video
Yeah,
about it
well-
way back in the day when it first came patched live on console. I told everybody about it. We had bow builds that we made, me and Truly, and then ever since we made those builds and showed everybody, it was rampant that everybody ran bow builds back in the day. But the problem is the fact that you could three-shot somebody with a bow still, when they said that you shouldn't. And they said in their stream that they want to make a good player be able to beat multiple players, and they said that it's just not fun getting 1 to 2 shot because there's no counterplay to it. They said that in their stream. Their dev that is working on their balance shit said that in the stream, but it's still here. And I think he missed the point. He said it's because of the high penetration. No, it's not just the high penetration. It's the fact that you're adding, because they try to say it's a 2-time multiplier for the max amount of strength you get from the 5 strength and all that stuff. It's a 2-time multiplier. So if you have max strength, you're doing 2 times the amount of damage you would without it. And a bow, you're doing 2 times the amount of damage with them without it. You know what I mean? So you're doing
Wait,
2 times.
So strength affects the bows? Like,
Yes.
Only accuracy.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah,
problem,
it
is they're not understanding that too. Now, hold on, let me get to the good part here. Because I'm not done, because I analyzed this before and I've went through the notes. I've made a whole, 4-page fucking thing about it back in the console days. So look, the bow benefits from strength and accuracy. So you're getting 2 times the strength for your weapon like a spear or a sword, and you're getting 2 times the damage with the accuracy in the bow, but you're not also counting the arrow that it's shooting plus the bow. So you're adding those 2 attacks because the bow does a base stat damage. If the bow did 0 damage and 0 pin and it was the arrow that did the damage, it might work. But it's not. The bow itself gives, like, especially the Reach of the Mother or whatever it is, the Brood, you know what I'm talking about, the Red Mother.
Yeah.
You get that, and it gives insane amounts of stats to the bow. You get that,
you
you
can
put
go
like a
to
star metal arrow in it,
99%.
you could 4-shot somebody. And that's a problem, especially when you can add 3 strength to that. That means 10% more damage to your light attacks. You could also go and hit the 4th tick of strength if you're able to, and then you get even more damage on the bow. So you're getting 2 times to plus 2 times, so you're getting 4 times the damage of the bow, rather than just the 2 that you're supposed to get, because for some reason the bow is scaling off strength, and people have realized this, and they're just going to hit you and roll and hit you and roll and hit. No matter what they do, they're going to outtrade you with the bow. Even if you both poke at the same time, they're going to do more damage no matter what you... Because... And this is... Is this my reply to it? Oh yeah. There is another potion that gives all that without crippling rage, though, and the game was changed to avoid the horse meta, and they changed it without changing lance, in my opinion. Okay, so back to this. So he's talking about why are we not using it more when we're fighting like horses and shit. And that's because, one, if we do use it, we use the wrong one that gives cripple. We're crippled and that horse is not. You cannot be crippled on the horse. That makes no sense. The horse will not be crippled. You're literally all this other stuff that makes it where you don't want to use like the potion.
So I have a question.
Is irrelevant. What's your question?
Can't if somebody's riding a horse, can you kill the horse while they're riding it?
Yeah, if you have the ability to hit the horse 45 to 60 times.
Yeah, see that's they need to fix that problem. Make it like if you can 3-shot a human, you should be able to like 5-shot a horse.
Yeah, I mean I've said that before, but
that cancels out the horse meta real quick.
Yeah, because then people will be throwing shit at it, crippling it, and hitting it. But that's I've proposed that information before. But then my buddy Mars, which I'll link his shit in the description when I make this video. Mars, on the other hand, says if we do that, it makes them completely useless to want to farm, but it will also bring forth a whole different ball game with the bows and shit. So right now, the reason why bows are at bay is because most of the time, it's like a 50-50 chance with a bow build. If you're fighting a horse player and you have a bow build, you have a very good, likable chance that you can de-horse them. But they have a very likable chance that lag might fuck you, or they can catch you off guard, or if they're on a bow build, you are fucked. Like, they'll knock you down with the horse, then just poke, dead, or they'll just poke you one time, actually, and you'll be dead.
You should be like, if you're a great sword user, you should be able to like pretty much like damn near 2-shot the damn thing because it's a horse. You can cut its legs off and then it can't move, right? So like if somebody took a big ass sword and as the horse was running and smacked the horse with the sword, it would pretty much maim the horse to being unable to be used.
Dude, if you hit the horse with anything that's going at full speed, it's going to fuck up the horse. The horses are very fragile creatures.
That's the point.
That's true, but again, that would make it to where they wouldn't be farmable. They wouldn't have a place in PvP, and they're trying to prevent that. They want everybody's play style to have their own weapons.
They do have a place. They would still have a place. They still provide a movement. Like you still have faster movement on a horse than on foot. They still have the lance being a fucking one-hit kill. They're still
you can still get into the battle faster, and even if you get knocked down, you're still there to fight. So it's still kind of something. But I think this Berserker potion, going back to this post, is definitely too OP. Like that, I'm just looking at the stats now. That's crazy. Like 400 armor for 15 seconds. Like if you take this potion and go in for that one hit, that's all you need it for. You know what I mean? Holy shit.
Because this works. This whole Berserk drought works with the bow. I shit you not.
Oh, I reckon it would. Like you don't have to worry about crippled. Like where the fuck are you going? You're just gonna roll. That would work for a bow. Really would. Even the armor is awesome. 20 with strength.
I used to swear by fucking heavy armor. Remember that? I love my heavy
And
armor.
it's not even. You know what the best part is? This is the Berserker potion. If you take the Frenzy Wine, let me see. This isn't. You can be crippled. This is still here, but you don't get crippled at the end of it. So you can literally just eat Frenzy Wine, which stacks too. So you could have like an inventory of 50 of that on a wheel
Yeah.
on your hotbar.
This blade is just another
Being
one
able
on
to
top
take.
of
How
that.
about I thought this was a good compromise with the whole elixir that gives Berserk Rage. I was like, why don't they just add an animation to it?
Yeah.
Because that would stop it from being abused on the horse. It would stop you from fighting on foot and just popping it and then jumping onto somebody. You'd have to.
Yeah. It needs some kind of cooldown. And yeah, doing animation would be something in between.
I mean, if they put the fucking so you're telling me they put the fucking animation on the healing pots, but they didn't put the animation on all the buff pots?
Yeah.
Like, why would they not put the animation for the buff pots the same
I,
as the
I
healing
was
pots?
thinking it was all coming eventually.
Like
That was my opinion.
that should literally have just been a thing. Like they're gonna.
Updated. The great axe animation looks great. Sadly, I found that using it wasn't that viable still. Not all attacks staggered, and therefore you just ended up trading blows, and therefore it's kind of useless. I was very excited for new punch daggers. I want to find out they're just a copy paste of the new claw animation. What is the point of this? Well, the point is to add a whole different weapon category with the game, but that's okay. I'm very concerned about the claw weapons. I'll have a character built around the... yeah, look at this. I'll have a character built around the claws of Jabal Sag, and I've come to love them. That's because all you have to do is lock on and spam somebody, dude. Everything he just said, I don't even want to read anymore. Anybody that uses claws in the PvP, I had my buddy sit here and bring his buddy in there, and I 1v2'd them, and I was able to smack them easy, right? 1v2, easy. Not hard for me. I did it with multiple weapons. Dagger, spear, axe, throwing axes, sword. I whooped them every which way, right? And then the minute one pulls out claws, there's no counter I could do to him. And I used to sit there and I used to be a very advocate speaker of saying you just need throwing axes to counter claws. But the way that they work now, there's no fucking way, dude. With a max grip build that just spams you down and they'll wait for you to finish your combo, your 4 attacks, or they'll dodge them. Since again, 4 attacks versus 6 rolls, you're going to end up stopping and they're going to hit you. So
Yeah, and the stamina regen is so slow, so yeah, they'll definitely have a
And then
good
you're talking about
background.
Claws of Jill too. That broken ass armor piece that literally you have Claws of the gauntlets of Jill, and then you eat the set feast, and then you eat the herbal tea. Your stamina goes up so damn fast with the claws and the max grit that you hit one dude, you can literally just it's a spiraling down. But that's another thing. Whilst the new animation goes except for the same thing as Axe, timing is off, and Tiff and trading blows, which early game just isn't good. But my major concern with them is now they are no longer special. If every claw weapon is the same, which is the same as the punching daggers, what is the point of using them, or the point of them being a unique religious weapon that is supposed to harness the power of a beast? Maybe like with the Great Axe, they need to leave the original animations alone for them. No! No! I'm saying this now. No. Claws
That was good.
have... I'm responding right now. Been broken for so long. They may need
Jesse, if you
tweaks.
didn't know, the claws like have been overhauled. They're not fast anymore. They're kind of like daggers. So they've changed it quite a lot in Test 9.
Oh well, yeah. All right. Well, I have been having fun with this conversation.
I do love all the quality of life fixes like the Will of Pain, animating properly now climbing animations. Rock Nose update, I know that's old. Weapon sheathing, various animation reworks, it's great direction for the game. I wonder if this is like, if things like elevator thralls, musician thralls. See, this dude does not PvP properly. I hope this is all receives more work. Love the direction the game is going. Thanks for all the hard work and fan service. So I can agree with a few things you said, but literally claws, I don't agree with anything you said about claws. Listy says double attack is still present on the bow when they broke light attack. I said light attack on bows would change it, but he says I think it was needed, but was a needed thing, but it feels like it was not intended. Light attack roll was like 1/3 of live version now. Also, weapons are sheathed when healing now, so say goodbye to builds with 40 vit weapons. Well, I mean, new server settings. So this caught my eye. And this is something I was thinking about being a good thing to add because of the way that the game is and how raiding works on raid times. But let me know what you think. New server setting has been added under the general tab. So this is a server setting that you can add in private server, right? Which makes me think
Yeah.
it's coming to official server eventually. This is new server setting
Yeah,
added under
maybe.
the general tab. Disable building during time restricted PvP. If enabled, this setting will prevent players from building during the time restricted PvP build, basically raid time.
Yeah, so that's like the purge. You can't
Right.
build between the purge.
I kind of like the
Yeah.
idea. I like it because a lot of the problems with PvP right now, and the reason why people can't raid as well as they used to, is because people just slap down pre-made like fobs and shit. Like they just go, "Oh, you broke a door, bam, bam. There's a new door
I
to break."
think more to that, you need a little time restriction before you can repair the door.
That wouldn't work because
Repairing was
that
a
wouldn't work.
lot more.
I thought that, but that doesn't work because then they'll just dismantle it and replace a new one. The thing
That's fine.
is,
That'll give you enough time to get in there.
but that's
Like
the thing.
it's
You can
that
get
time
in there, but I'm just
at a
gonna seal
time.
you in. That's the problem. And I've had that happen to me. You can get in, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
oh yeah,
seal you in.
totally. I still think that's fine though. I think that's fine. It's when you're sitting at like next to the dam in that little spot there, you just need to put one foundation down and spam it with a repair hammer. Asgard, I don't know if you know them. They did it for ages. No one could get in. We spent ages trying to get in there. Eventually got in, but it's just because they sat there with a repair hammer and there's only one entrance and it's
That's the
as
thing,
thick
though.
as
Is they need to
one
make it to where you
foundation.
could put down enough bombs that break the fucking thing, and they need to make it to where you can't just replace the thing, or else it makes it completely irrelevant.
Yeah, but see, then you have the bodies stacking. Like you just get someone in your tribe to die on the spot so they can't restack it. Like there
See,
is ways around that. But
you say
sitting
that, but
there with a repair hammer,
you
that was a
understand that when
nightmare.
you do that body thing, right? You're losing a body, right? Not only that, it doesn't take much work for me to go up to it, hit it 2 times with a skinning knife or a cleaver, and put a new thing down. Or this is
Yeah,
even the better
totally.
thing, just completely avoid your body there and build in front of it or behind it, and then wait for that
And
body to
that's
despawn and then replace it.
yeah, that's fine. But just sitting there with a repair hammer and just hitting one thing while we're placing like 30 bombs in front of it, trying to destroy it. But because he's hitting it at the same time, we can't break it. That's not right. It's just no, no.
You
Rebuilding,
think the
yeah, that's
repair
fair
hammer?
enough.
You think the repair hammer
Sitting
needs
there with a
nerfed?
repair hammer. It does. It needs a timer, like Rust. If you damage a building, it's got like 30 seconds.
Or they should make it to where when you use a repair hammer, it takes the mats, right? But when you hit it heals over time. Kind of
Yeah,
like
totally.
instead of
Something like that. Yeah,
like you
that'll
know how the
help.
heals work now, where you take a pot and it heals up, but when you take damage, it
Yeah,
stops. It should be that way with a foundation. You smack it with a repair
yeah.
hammer, it starts taking up health, and then boom, you hit it with a bomb, it stops. You know, like that'd be
You
something that
think
could
of
work.
all the little caves on Sipta, they're all one foundation entrance, and that's all people are doing is sitting there repairing with a hammer. It needs a buffer time, 100%. It needs a buffer time. Fair enough, they can place stuff in front of it and back. If they've stacked it, they can just keep placing fence foundations. Fair enough, but just sitting there with a repair hammer and doing nothing else, no, that's too far. Fixes don't like that,
Here we
man.
go. This is where we
And I
wanted to
see
get
that a
into.
lot. Yeah.
Two-handed hammers have received a balance. They was already really strong, especially the massacre hammer. So base penetration
Yeah.
by 42%, reduce stamina cost by heavy attacks by 20%, increase base damage value by 16, increase the combo damage multiplier of the second to last heavy hit in the heavy attack chain. This
That's all
is
increased. That's all
that's
increased.
a bit. That's a bit, dude. I don't. People say hammers are not that good, but they're full of shit. I've killed some players using the hammer. It's not hard to roll
But
chain them.
totally, the reach on a hammer is just as good as the pike
Oh,
sometimes. Like you
dude, the
can really
fucking
get it out
hammer is
there.
really good. I loved the hammer. I might have to start
Yeah,
rocking it again. I mean, that's a lot though for the base penetration being increased by roughly
that's heaps.
42%. I don't know, dude. That's like
Penetration,
a
like,
three shot to
that's a
somebody.
lot. Yeah, heavy armor with a hammer, you'd be able to go after it quite a
Now to
lot.
my
And no
baby,
one
the
would be
pike.
expecting
This is my favorite weapon. Or second. My first and
it.
second favorite. Reduce stamina cost of light attacks by 15%. That's good. Reduce stamina cost of heavy attacks by 25%. I actually measured that and I got 23, but 25% works too. Improve the timing of the final light attack's movement cancellation. You can now move after this attack at the same point you could attack again. I think that's broken. because I not broken as in a mechanic, but broken as in it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I
you
tried it
said
in
it.
the yeah, I've
Yeah.
tried it and it doesn't work. It would be nice.
But
Two
say
handed.
that again. That's all increased. Like, all right, reduced stamina. But that's all benefit to the
Yeah,
pike.
I like that. They should have. I don't know why they
Yeah.
nerfed the pike into the ground in the past before, but they need to add the damage multiplier to be increased on the pike like it was before. Well, not exactly how it was before, where it was like you get hit and it felt like a truck smacked you, but it should get some tender love and care with that. The pike should definitely do a little bit about the same damage as a sword would at least. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion. Two-handed swords
It
have
is a
received a
two-handed
balance
weapon.
pass. Increased hyper armor coverage for light attacks to extend the point of being. That should have been that. This right here should have been in the hammer.
Yeah.
Increased hyper armor coverage, light being able to transition to a new attack. I don't know how I feel about that because the sword was already really good, and the whole point of I don't know. I think the sword was already pretty good. They didn't need to add all this. Reduced recovery time for the final attack and the light attack chain.
That's good.
I don't ever
No, I
know what
think that's good.
I don't know what that is. I never used the last
The
attack of
light
the light attack.
attack, it was like you'd have to cancel switch weapons to really. That's good. They did that.
Significantly reduced crafting time for all bandage and healing pots. That was necessary. That was absolutely necessary. I'm tired of rocking 7 things to craft pots.
Yeah.
Basic potion crafting time reduced to 10 seconds. Thank God. Crafting time, okay. Great Axes received a major overhaul. I've already seen these. I already went over these.
Have you
Katana,
seen the great axe where it blocks?
yes.
You got that blocking. That's pretty. That's cool. That's different.
Me and Mars made a
Katana's
podcast back in the day on Conan. We was talking about how they need to add a block system to Conan. It would change some of the
yeah.
dynamic.
Definitely. Katana is one of my favorite weapons. A lot has changed with it. I'm glad they still got the charge attack, but yeah, I like the light attack as well. The light attacks are really cool in the katana. A lot more faster.
Light attack
I
should
like
be a
what they've
little
done
bit
with them.
faster. I can see them saying that right now about the claws with how they are.
Lord's weapons, yeah.
See, I think the claws, when they nerfed them, right, they did the right thing. They made an animation that works, but what they need to do is increase the animation to where like it's a little bit quicker than what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
For
it
the
needs to
light
be
attacks,
cut down.
anyway. Yeah, just a little bit quicker to help with getting that to the final strike. These attacks will be interrupted by blocking defender.
And
Okay.
they should be quicker than daggers.
Yeah, they should probably be. They should be a stationary attack, but have a
I think,
quicker attack than the daggers with hyper armor. It should be like a
yeah, I think they're
standstill, just
around
wop
about
wop
the
wop
dagger
wop.
speed at the moment.
The daggers is too
That's what I
fast.
said.
Special
Yeah,
attack
okay.
with a quick 3-hit combo that cannot be interrupted by a blocking defender, light and heavy attack combo into this strike. Okay. So we went over this. That's just them. The throwing axe and Urgle will vanish after reduce to 0 durability. That was a glitch in the game. They used to be able to go to 0
Yeah.
durability and you could throw them infinitely. The penetrator, in fact, that's with bows now, believe it or not. You can do that with explosive arrows and get infinite amount of explosives. Nobody's talking about
Right.
that at all, but that's a thing. The penetrator has received a bump in base damage, normal version from 2 to 16. What is the penetrator? That just doesn't sound
I
right
don't
of a
know.
weapon. What is that?
It's like the love tap, I guess. I don't know, man. They belong together, though.
Is it talking about like the sword, the annihilator?
Yeah, yeah. I
Healing
haven't seen it
potions
yet.
no longer remove bleed effects. That's stupid. That is so stupid. They need to add
Yeah,
something.
we talked a lot about that, but they need to replace that with something else.
Yeah, potion healing buff is now removed when non-bleed damage is received. So does that mean if I'm poison stacked, I can't heal through poison? That's kind of stupid. Reduced duration of knockdown. This is a needed. This was needed like a motherfucker.
Yes, with the horse.
Oh
Yeah,
my god, dude, it was needed. They need to add a
yeah.
fucking invincibility time to knockdown too. Like when you've been knocked down already, you can't just be knocked down again and again and again. Like,
Yeah, if you get knocked down and the horse can turn around and hit you before you get up, it's
oh, easily the drift
it's
saddle.
just yeah,
You just run,
yeah.
knock them down, do a jump drift, and turn around and hit them again. Like that was stupid. Fish and fish traps, shellfish and shellfish traps, putrid meat, and fat grubs will all now spoil at a slower rate. Reduce the weight of figurines, that doesn't matter. Reduce the amount of chops on Cobra, that doesn't matter either. Quality of life, I don't care. Like this is just all stuff that doesn't. Besides this, none of the other stuff I think can really be useful in combat.
Yeah.
Fixed this. Okay. Are you still reading? Yes, good. Let's keep going. Woof. I mean, let's look at all this.